Hey guys, Brian Savage here with you. Today up on the bench, no, your eyes are not deceiving you, you're not upside down. This is a left-handed Fender Jazz made in Mexico. My good friend Libs. And a while back we had replaced this, and you can see I got one saddle off of it, and I'll explain that in a minute. But this is what was on it, and I've kind of straightened it out a little bit when we were messing with it. But this was bent up and it's really thin, and I had this one that was a little higher mass. You can tell here. Let me see here. See the difference? This is a lot thinner plate, and this is the stock one, and this is one that I had. Now, the one that I had smaller saddles. Well, I'm sorry, not smaller saddles. The saddle itself is larger in the groove. This is the old Fender saddles. This groove is deeper and wider. Here's the one I took off here. This is the regular stock Fender. This is the aftermarket one I put on there for him. And as you can see, the mass of the saddle itself is the same. The dimensions are all the same except for that groove. And the groove in this is deeper and wider. And also the two screws, the height adjustment screws in the Fender is much larger and a beefier screw than the little screws that are in the aftermarket one that I have. So the dilemma is the diameter of screw to fit these saddles will not fit through the holes in this bridge. So at the time we just said, okay, no problem, we'll just go with the stock ones, or with the aftermarket ones that came with this bridge plate. The problem is that, I don't know if you'll be able to tell it or not, but this G-string is completely to the deck, and the string action, flip it over here, the string action is still higher than it should be. Now, I could, of course, go in and shim the neck and bring the neck up, but we've had this neck off and there's no shims under it, and I'm not one to put shims in if I don't have to. So what we're going to do is that hole where the screw goes through, I'm going to take my handy dandy drill, we're going to drill it out a little larger so that we can fit the old size screws. That's the spring that goes with it. The old size saddles that have the deeper, wider groove, and replace that, and that should be able to help us be able to set this thing up to where it's proper. Now, if I get there, it's not a whole lot of difference in the groove size, but if I find that once I put this in here, I still have this thing almost all the way down to the deck, and it's still not correct, then I'm going to have to go in and shim the neck. And I think one of the reasons that that's happening is because, again, this plate is thicker. Not only is it thicker on this portion of it, but it's also a little thicker on this portion of it. So I'm definitely not going to route out on the body. My correction would have to be to put a neck shim. And honestly, the tilt on this neck, it probably wouldn't hurt it to put a little bit of a shim in here anyway. So we're just going to have to see. So unfortunately, these are old strings. He's got some new strings he wants me to put on here. The Flea signature set GHS boomers, this is what he picked out. These say long scale, so I'm a little concerned on the scale of this Jazz if these long scales are going to work, because down here on this end it's essential that these taper off. As you can see, the diameter of the string tapers down as it gets towards the peg head. If these long scales, the diameter reduces too far down the string, you know, if it doesn't start reducing to like down here where the tuning keys are, then that's going to cause me an issue, because this one and this one and this one, they all three taper down. This one just one step, this one does it 2 steps, and this one does it 2 steps. And one of the taper of this 2-step is in the winding. So like I said, I'm a little concerned with long scale. I don't know, I haven't dealt with that too much, so I don't know these strings till I open them up. I'm not going to bother doing that first. I'm going to change out all these components and leave the strings on it, because I can just slack them off and get all this stuff out of the way. I'm going to change all these components, change all this stuff over, slack them up. I'll get all, you know, change all the components, drill these holes. I'll do all that with the strings, the old strings that's on it. And then we're going to see where we stand string action wise, and see if we have to go shimming the neck and all that. And then once we get all that set up, then we'll go through, throw the new strings on it. It's a different gauge of strings, so I'll have to reset neck relief, reset intonation and action anyway. But with these strings, it'll get me in a rough ballpark to know kind of like what I want going on. Okay? Again, share the music, share the love. If you got any questions on this, let me know. I'm sure after when I get all this done, I'll shoot part 2 and show you what it was like and tell you what exactly I had to do. Till then, see you.